been about a week now, so I think I can talk about it a little bit more and not be kind of, out of words. Let's say the day after Misawa died, pretty rough. It took about a day to finally kick in, honestly, because I woke up literally the day it happened, found out, I'm like, oh shit, Mitsuharu Misawa is dead. How the fuck? Okay, it's just one of those things that you just wake up and go, well, fuck. And I went throughout the rest of the day. And I mentioned it a couple times. Unfortunately, the only person I can really talk about wrestling with is my roommate, since we're the only two that are really into it. Him and another friend of ours. But I was with friends that day, and I could talk about it. But when you can't really talk wrestling with certain folks, especially if they're not into it. There's nothing wrong with them. Not everybody's gonna like wrestling. I learned that a long time ago. It's a kind of a polarizing subject. You're either into it or you're not into it. There's no middle ground. You can't be kind of into wrestling. You got home from work the next day. It was a Sunday. I don't remember what the day was, what the date was. It was a Sunday. I just got off of work, and I came home, and someone on YouTube here had put up the news story, and it was the footage of him trying to be revived in the ring by the EMTs, and they got all the junior wrestlers and the ring attendants and everything surrounding him. And that's really kind of where it hit home. I hadn't cried like that in a while, and I'm not ashamed to say that I did, because it was a piece of my youth dying. And unfortunately, I'm not an old person, but as you get older, pieces of your youth start to fade away. A lot of your heroes die. And being a wrestling fan, boy howdy, the last 5-6 years, they've been dropping like flies, and a lot of them are gone. Or you have weird shit like, with Chris Benoit, freaking out and killing himself and killing his family. You don't see that shit coming. But especially with Misawa, I can date that back, finding out about him probably about, probably 2000. I went to, there was an RF video stand. If anybody that's lives in California, and especially in the Southern California area, at the Ontario Mills Mall in Ontario, California, big ass fucking mall, all kinds of shit. I'd go there, with whomever would want to drive out, my friend David, or I could coax my mom into doing it, stuff like that. You go out there, it's usually a day trip, since it was about an hour-and-a-half drive from where I lived at that point, and hit up the Virgin Megastore, and there was a GameWorks in there, and Dave & Buster's and anything like that. But there was an RF video cart selling VHS tapes of ECW matches, FMW, RCN. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Women's wrestling. All kinds of stuff, and one of them that caught my eye was Best of All Japan Budokan Hall main events. I still have that tape to this day. I think it was about $15, $20, and took it home. I think they did everything in SLP, because it was a big long tape, ton of fucking matches. I mean, obviously, you look at the main events in the 1990s from AJPW, long fucking matches. You're looking at the very least 25 minutes, at the most, you're 45 minutes. And obviously during the 90s, most of those were Misawa matches. And it's hard to explain the kind of connection you feel when someone's putting that much on the line and, giving their all, giving their heart. I wanted to be that. I really did. And he made a humongous impression on me. And for a long time, I was like, dude, I want to be him. Quite honestly. I want to be able to go out there and do that. And I want to be able to be famous for doing it and make money and all that other good stuff. And especially in wrestling games after that, anytime I made myself or anything resembling me, as much as you could do, there's always a trademark on there, something of his, either colors or, this single elbow pad. And, if I could, theme music, hell, for Fire Pro Wrestling D, I used to simulate matches, but I had a had a mini disc player that my brother gave me. I think he bought it when he was in Chicago, and in the Chicago area when he was doing his naval training when he first entered the Navy. And I recorded off my PC. I just recorded Misawa's theme music, and I'd simulate matches, and I'd have my character in there. Pardon. And I would just put on matches, but it'd be my theme music, since the game, had replications kind of the music, just close but no cigar, to make sure that they didn't completely go after trademark infringement and stuff like that. But that was my music, for a long time. Either that or Ace of Spades. I did that, Motorhead, Ace of Spades, and then Triple H ripped off my idea later on. Nah, I'm kidding. But, and I fell out of wrestling for a long time. I think around 2003, I stopped watching. I stopped caring. I wasn't really following much of anything, which is sad, considering Misawa had one of his biggest matches with Kenta Kobashi in 2003, and I didn't go back into it until quite recently, and I missed so much. That's the bad part. When people die, that's when you go back and go, well, fuck, I can get into all this now, but why wasn't I there to check all this stuff out when they were alive? Hindsight's a bitch in that respect. A big bitch. But, he was one of my heroes, quite honestly. One of my heroes. And unfortunately, we live in a world where our heroes die. And it's a fucked up world with that in mind, life gets harder as you get older, because all those around you pass away. Those that, you hoped would live on forever and always be there are gone. It seems unfair, but it's just reality, quite honestly. It's part of the cycle of life, but yeah. I don't know, man. It's easier, obviously now, it's easier, and I never knew the man. Still tough though, when someone you look up to and you respect, dies, especially dying in the ring like he did. But you can only try to hope and take solace that maybe he was, even though he died, he's happy that he went doing what he wanted to do, even with probably the immense amount of pressure on him to perform, especially since he was the head of Noah. He was one of the biggest stars even to this day, and I feel bad for Saito. I feel bad for him, because it was his move that unfortunately undid Misawa. But enough rambling from me. All I can say is, Misawa-san, thanks, man. Thank you for everything. I wish I could thank you in person. Maybe one day, maybe if that's how it works when we all die, maybe I can. But, you're a big part of my life at one point in time, and you still give me that, that feeling that you can be something. That you can always be something. Thank you.